You're now tuned in to The Investor Show, where we teach simple wealth creation for the common investors with investment advisor, award-winning author, international speaker, and founder of Royal Financial Investment Group, Prince Dykes.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, y'all already know who this is. This is your host of the Prince of Investing, coming to you, ladies and gentlemen, from Denver, Colorado. So, as you guys can see in the description box and the title, I did this topic, did this topic on YouTube last week, but, it was live, and when I was live, I didn't really get to talk about things like I really wanted to talk about them, because, when you're on live, people call in, you got the chat rooms and stuff like that, so you don't really get to talk about things like you really want to talk about it, because the topic kind of sways. So, if you someone who's really following me, you're like, wow, I saw this on YouTube. This here is, pre-recorded and put out, which is going to be fresh. As soon as I get done recording this, it's going to be out for the world in like 30 minutes. Available on all our platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud. All this is great stuff, right? So, without further ado, let's jump straight into it.
What up? It's your boy Vigo Sachi. This is the Investor Show, and you're checking in with the investor genius, Prince Dykes. Let's get it.
I'm going to be talking about Warren Buffett's meeting, the 2018 meeting. I'm going to sit back and walk you guys through it, because this year compared to last year, I didn't go live as much. I don't feel like I was as engaging as I was my first year. My first year, I was on, I was on my Facebook Live. I did a video every single night, did a recap of every single day, every single night. I was very active about it. I was on YouTube, I was on Facebook. I put out a lot of material those 3 days that I was there. And as soon as I got back, I put out the documentary following it. So it was very engaging compared to this year. Now, people would say, well, Prince, what happened? What changed? Well, this year, what changed was a few factors. Number one was a lot of things that I was very shocked to see last year and things like that. It wasn't as shocking this year because I had saw it already. The second thing was a lot of things that they had done last year they didn't do this year, right? So that was the second thing. The third thing was I had more, I wouldn't say distractions, but I had more things going on this year. For prime example, I had, some people would recognize you. Some people would want to have a conversation with you. Some people recognize you from last year. They recognize me from YouTube, podcasts, or whatever the case may be. And they want to just have a natural human conversation. And a lot of times those conversations end up with meetings. Hey, let's have a meeting over here. Let's meet here. And hey, let's have a meeting over there and things like that. So, where it just seemed like my first year, I was more of a loner. I was by myself. I was never done anything like this. This year felt more like a class reunion type deal. When you meet everybody and everybody want to catch up with what you're doing. They've been following what you're doing. So you start to step back and talk to them. You're more relaxed. You're not shocked about a lot of things. So you don't have the opportunity, when you taking those type of meetings and going here, going there, taking phone conversations. And then, our executive producer of the show, Chad Davis, he came with us too. He came with me as well. So it was just me and him. So, we had our conversations, and when you had those things going on, you have a tendency to produce a little bit less. You don't get back to the hotel and spend all night in a hotel to just produce and push stuff out like I did, the first year. But you guys can let me know, like, hey, Prince, I really like last year compared to this year. But, it's that's why I didn't have as much material. Then as soon as I got back, I did the Children's Financial Literacy and Cybersecurity Expo this year at Gateway High School, 2 or 3 days when I got back. So, I did radio while I was there. I did television while I was there. That was added on. Then I went off and did, I did radio, I did television. Then I went off and added the foundation's event right when I got back too. So, then when we got the foundation event, we had all that stuff we had to get out. So it was kind of a little bit more to handle this year than it was last year. But yet and behold, I still got a lot of great stuff and a lot of great material. Documentary, please stay tuned for that. Give me about another week on it. But I did put out the Children's Financial Literacy Cybersecurity Expo recap. So I did put out a recap video if you want to go check that out. It's just 4 minutes of what we did at Gateway High School. We spoke to the entire math department, about 1,000 students in the math department over 7 sessions all day long. I want to give a great thank you to Mr. Stonewall Gatenapper, former Senior Vice President of Wells Fargo, and also Mr. Lawrence Wagner, CEO of Spark Mindset. They came out and taught financial literacy and also taught cybersecurity. So I had a ball doing that. It was a long day. It was an exhausting day, but we did do a recap, and it took a lot of things, a lot of hurdles I had to jump through, and setbacks that I had, and to see it finally come all together was a true blessing. So thank you for, also thanks to Gateway High School for allowing us to come in there and do that. I really appreciate it. So I look forward to doing more like that, and I thank people for all their support to get us to that point. And we also give away 300 books. So thanks to CompTIA for donating majority of the books, and also we gave some Wesley Learns books there away as well. If you haven't, go check those books out. Go check those books out. Wesley Learns series. We're everywhere. Support the project, support the platform. But let's get straight into it more. So let's go back to the first day. So, the first day is a Friday. So on the Friday, I usually get there on the Thursday day a little bit before. And while I'm there, my first day there, I go over to Grot Steakhouse. And Grot Steakhouse, that's a notorious steakhouse for Sunday night at Berkshire, right? So I went over to the steakhouse and I had a steak, and I always get my traditional whiskey ribeye double hash hard, right? If you're ever in Omaha, go to Grot Steakhouse, get the Prince Special. That's what I'm going to start calling the Prince Special, right? So I went in there and I had that, and while I'm there, me and my buddy, the show executive producer Chad, were there. And long story short, a lot of people recognized me from last year. I was very shocked by that. That people was like, hey, that's Prince from last year, whatever the case may be. So I was very shocked by that. And I interviewed the steakhouse owner last year at the steakhouse, but I didn't think he would remember me. I was like, it's thousands of people that come in here. There's thousands of people that will come and go. Why would he remember me? But yet still, he did. He remembered. He's like, hey, Prince, how was it going? His hair was longer. Same guy, great guy. Gene, if you ever go to Grot Steakhouse, that's the owner of it. His wife is the prior CEO of Borsch. I think it's Borsch's, the jewelry company. The jewelry store. Very big jewelry store. That's where you see Bill Gates and Warren Buffett in my last year documentary playing table tennis. So his wife was there. So I got a chance to meet his wife this year. So that was pretty awesome. And also his son. So that's why I thought it was a great opportunity, a great chance there. So that was the second thing. That was the first day. So I go there and I run into Yahoo Finance editor-in-chief, Andy Sorey. Andy Sorey is at Yahoo. He's there, and all the Yahoo gang is there. All his agents, his publicists, everybody is there. It was awesome. I did not think Andy Sorey will remember me either. Andy Sorey was he was the one that just put out an interview with Warren Buffett. He sat down with Warren Buffett. He's sitting down with Charlie Munger. He's sitting down with Gates. He get all the, it's Yahoo. They're a very big platform. Why would they remember little old me? But that was very shocking to see. So, very big thank you out there to Andy Sorey. And the special thing about him, he was the first person to ever come on. He was our first ever guest on the Prince of Investing out of Think Tech, Hawaii. So, our show that we did there. So, still do there too. He was our first ever guest. So, I'm very happy to have him. Very glad to see him. Great friend. He later on, let me get an interview on the Friday. Yeah, that was Friday. So as we move along throughout the day, we go through Yahoo, and as we are in Yahoo, we see we see Geico is there. Buffett owns Geico, so he's there. I met up with Brittany and Dana. We had lunch that night, dinner that night at the Garage Steakhouse. So we had dinner that night. We had so much great time, great catching up with them out of Houston, Texas. And we had a great time just sitting back and talking and catching up with each other and seeing what we wanted to do and what they wanted to do. And it was just an awesome time to, a very big shout out to Brittany and Dana. They're a couple there out of Houston, Texas. And, catching up with them and seeing how they was doing was very great. They're from the Investors Podcast. So it was great to sit back and see them and talk with them and see the ways that we could work together and how we can be assistants to each other. So that was very nice to see. So I leave there, and I think that's probably it for the first night of Thursday. So, Friday afternoon, that's the time for the expo, right? That's the first day that they do the expo. They open up the floor. That's one of the big days that I go to. That's the day I go to because this is the day everybody comes out to shop. Really, people just come out to shop and buy stuff. You have Coca-Cola there. You have Geico there. You have Dairy Queen. You have See's Candy. You have all the type of companies that he owns. Fruity Balloons, private jet company, all these type of things that they own throughout that he has that he's open to his shareholders to experience, buy things and stuff like that or whatever the case may be. So as I walk through, the first person I go in and talk to the interview is the new CEO of Dairy Queen, Mr. Troy Bader. Mr. Troy Bader was there, and it was a pleasure and honor to see him. So I had the chance to sit down and talk to him and interview him. Great guy. The new him of Dairy Queen, John Gaynor, has stepped down. John Gaynor has stepped down and retired. I think he did about 9 or 10 years there as CEO. So so I had a great interview with him. The thing about him, he explained about his his new goals for the company, what he wants to do with the company, how he wants to push it. And of course, he let me try one of their new Dairy Queen blizzards. But my question that I thought about after the interview was, it seems like a lot of Americans, many millennials, are changing their diets right now. A lot of people becoming vegans and a lot of people becoming vegetarians and no processed foods, organic. And I was wondering, in the future, is there anything that he would do? Or does he see that as a potential problem arising on that could be a problem on the horizon, of course, I love Dairy Queen, Oreo Blizzard, extra crunchy. That's my thing. So, but that was something that I was curious that I thought about after the interview that hopefully I can be able to catch him next year. So I sat back with him and had a great time. And I sat back with him, had a great time, and to sit back and speak with him. So that was my first interview there. So we walk around, we grab some shareholders, we interviewed some shareholders to see what they had going on. We sat down and did an interview with Mr. Andy Sorey. We just went around. We got turned down by some people. Some CEOs said no, and they don't talk to the media and whatever the case may be, and that was fine. So, a cool aspect that I did get this year, I did meet some authors. I did meet some cool authors they had at the Bookworm at Berkshire. So, I thought that was a good look, a good opportunity there. So, we had a great chance to meet some of the people, some of the great authors at Bookworm. So, what else we had the opportunity to do? And so itself, pretty much that kind of wraps up the first day. We're around the expo, getting the experience, stuff like that. So that night, where did we go after the expo? I think we went to Borsham's that night. That's when it's like this is kind of like the thing they do in Omaha when people come dressed to impress. This is when all the people come out and, they have an open bar. They serve food there, alcohol, all of the good stuff. So I go there that night. I get some footage from some people, having some drinks, some food. I think it's some live entertainment there. They had the jewelry store open, so, very big night. So I got some of that. And we stayed there, pretty late. Pretty much closed it down. So then, we had to go home, get some rest, back to the room, get up for Saturday, which is the big day. This is the actual meeting day. Go back to the arena, run into some people that I knew from the arena. Ran into some people who had been out there since 3 o'clock in the morning. They're placeholders. They stand there since 3 o'clock in the morning, and then they sell their spot for $100. So that's pretty awesome. But now that they do that, because it's in the arena, it's first come, first serve. Who comes in first is the first ones to be able to sit down. They're the first ones to be able to get a good seat, all the other good stuff. So people run in, they battle to get good seats and all of the good stuff like that and whatnot. So that's one of the things I saw at Berkshire. And, yeah, that was one of the cool things that I saw. The third thing that I saw not the third thing, but, so I went in, I got some interviews, ran into some people that I knew outside. I got a little footage of people running inside the arena. I also had the opportunity to meet some people, beforehand. I went back out and got some more interviews and some things like that. Got a chance to catch some footage with catch some footage with some new people. But I also sat down in the meeting. In the meeting, one of the big things I picked up this year from the meeting was that Buffett pretty much was saying that he is not the guy anymore, that he's pretty much set his principles in the company, that pretty much that he can die off and nothing will happen. The company will still be a great company. He spoke about, people asked him about tariffs. I don't want to get into the details because I know that's already out there on Yahoo where you can watch the whole particular meeting. But, yeah, so it was great to see Buffett, great to see Charlie Munger. It was great to see them live and well. And people asked them questions, the Q&A. They were speaking about their particular company. So I don't want to get into the actual meat of the meeting because, that's open material that anybody can go back and watch. But it was great to sit there and be in that environment. I ran into Guy Spear. I ran into I can't even think of the guy from India, but great guys that I was able to see and speak to. So that was my first day. Then my phone rings and I get a call from the local station, KPAO. They tell me, hey, Prince, if you can get down here, we can do something with you live not live, but we can do something with you on television, here, local channel here in Omaha, or whatnot. So I went ahead and did it. I was like, let me just go ahead and just do this show, right? Let me just go ahead and do this show here because I had never done television in Omaha. And one of my goals was I wanted to get to know people more in Omaha since I plan on being there every single year. So I went back and I went to the station KPAO, and that's how you probably saw me doing some stuff there live on Omaha. So hopefully I can be able to do some interviews out of there next year, all the other great stuff like that. So, KPAO, shout out to them. And while I was there, he connected me to the radio person. And that's how I ended up doing the radio on Monday before I left on my flight on Monday. So, Saturday night was great. We went to the meeting, then we tried Dover Steakhouse first. We tried Dover Steakhouse. And once I tried Dover's, we went and we ate at Dover's and great steakhouse, just to try something a little different. People recommended it. Then we went over to, where did we go next? We went back to Grotz, had a couple drinks at Grotz, and then I went home for the night. So when I went home for the night, it was a great night. Got some rest, and that was Saturday. So on Sunday, I got up and I went to the Berkshires to see the ping pong match between Buffett and Gates. I didn't stay for the ping pong match because this year I didn't have access to the platform to be able to look down. Last year, I had the press access where I was able to get on the platform. This year they didn't allow me on the platform because they took a lot of the press access away from a lot of the individual independent blogger type guys. So even though, I wanted to get a great shot and I already saw it before. I had already saw it last year. So it wasn't a big thing for me. So I just, I didn't get too much footage there. I got a little footage, grabbed a couple interviews, and that was it. So that was pretty much my Saturday. And then my Saturday, I had a couple meetings that day that spilled over that I wasn't able to, I had to cancel out a lot of meetings. It was a pretty busy Sunday, I meant to say. So, but Sunday night, I ended it out. I finally got back over to Grotz Steakhouse and, and finished it out that day. The last day, that's when Buffett was there, Gates. Everybody comes to the steakhouse that last day. And that's how I was able to finish out my weekend. And I met some great people there, and I had some great conversations, So, and I think, and that wrapped it up. The next day, I got up that morning, and I went to the radio station, did the radio interview with 95.7, the boss, William King's show. I did his show out of there. Grabbed something to eat, jumped on a plane, and came back into Denver, Colorado. So physically, stay tuned for my documentary. If you go, in the meantime, look at my 2017 one, and my 2018 one is coming out. One of the major differences, I didn't meet as many high-profile celebrities that I did last year. I didn't get a chance to get that close to speak to them like I was able to last year. So, a couple of things will change around this year, but overall, great experience, and I'll be back there next year on May 4th. So, thank you guys for tuning in. That's going to be this week's podcast. You guys stay tuned for the next podcast, cartoon, or what y'all see do crazy around the globe. Peace, be safe. I'm out. Thank you.